Winter is here. I took a break from filming during December and January and got to enjoy the holidays with my family, and I hope that you did the same. And I'm at the point, it's I think the 8th of February right now, and I'm pretty sick of winter, even though here we don't get a lot of snow. Now tonight we're supposed to get a significant snowstorm, and for us significant means 3 to 6 inches, but that is way more than we've gotten all winter. We've gotten 2 storms, I think, where there were maybe 1 to 2 inches and they melted right away. So one of the things I like to do at this time of year is to force some Forsythia, bring it in the house and get those beautiful yellow flowers going. It always makes me think of spring and makes the winter go by a little faster. So let's take a walk and go pick some. I've got 3 or 4 big clumps of Forsythia in the yard. They're different types. And there's a couple of them. Ooh, it's got a little icy here. Some have bigger flowers than others, but all of them can be forced. And you have to give them a good, say, 8 weeks of dormancy in order for them to be ready for forcing. And at this point, they've definitely had that. I mean, November and December were very cold, January, and it's about time. So this is what the dormant Forsythia shrub looks like. I'm going to look for branches that have got some nice swollen buds on them. They're not too swollen at this point. They're still pretty dormant because it's very cold. It's only 31 degrees out here today. But what you can see is that these branches have actually got the buds on them. And those are the future flower buds. There are some branches that are just big long stalks. I mean, here's a couple right here, and you can see there's no real buds on those. Those you're going to leave alone. So here I have a nice bunch of branches with buds on them, and I'm going to go to the other 2 clumps of Forsythia and pick a few branches off of those as well. Here are some more nice Forsythia shrubs. And oh yeah, we've got some nice branches on them that I can pull off. And again, the few branches that I'm pulling off here are not going to hurt the spring display in the yard at all. So here I have a nice bunch of Forsythia branches, and they all have some very nice buds on them. And I've got some water and my clippers. Forsythia is one of the easiest woody flowering shrubs to force. All you need to give them is water and warmth, and they will perform for you beautifully. So what I'm doing here is I'm popping off the lowest of the small branches. So I've got a nice stem here, and I'm going to pop them in the water. I just cut them, so I don't really need to recut the bottoms. This one's not too bad. That's a little long. You can shape them a little bit. But you want them to get easily into your vase, and you don't want to have a lot of excess branching at the bottom. Oh, look at this big one. This was a nice one. They do not need to be in sunlight. All they need is warmth. So usually I have a spot in the kitchen that I pop them. All right, there's the last one. Let's get that in there. They're all nicely down in the water. All right, so this vase of Forsythia is ready to go. As I said, I'm going to pop it in my kitchen in a nice warm spot just on the kitchen table. And I'll show you some pictures of the ones that I forced last year and how they ended up looking. Another plant that I really like to have around in the winter is Amaryllis. I think they are very cheerful and they're a really nice thing to have in the house during those cold months of January and February. You can see that these Amaryllis are at different stages of development. I think this one has got 2 flower spikes coming up. Same thing with this one. Here's one that you can just start to see the little flower nub coming up, the little bud sort of pushing its way up, and leaves started first. Some of these are very small because they were ones that actually were offshoots or pups from the larger ones that I have. Here's another one getting going. But these do take a little bit of a special attention to get them to the point where you can get them to bloom in the winter. And I'll show you what I did with them last fall. Now, on top of everything else, it's time to get the Amaryllis in the house and ready so that they can rebloom. Now, very interesting, I actually stopped watering all of my Amaryllis back in September. It is now the last week of October, and some of them have dried out, and you can see that this is what you would see. You'd see a bulb. Here's a couple of dead leaves at the top. I'll cut those off. Soil is very dry. That has gone dormant. But for some reason, these two did not get the memo. The soil looks completely dry. It feels dry, and yet they are still growing. I am going to clip them back, and I'm going to mark them so that I know that these went into dormancy late, because they do need at least 2 months, often 3 months of dormancy to rebloom. Now, these smaller ones here were all in pots where there were multiples. I had 3 in a pot. They've actually grown significantly. I pulled them out, and I'm now going to put them in their own individual planters. And then they're going to go into the basement where it's cool, and I'll be starting to take these out sometime in early January, because I don't do them for Christmas. I like to have them over the winter. So here is my Amaryllis bulb. And what I've done is I've actually trimmed off just a little bit of the roots because they had gotten kind of crazy over the summer. And I'm going to sit them in here very nicely, and I'm going to pile soil around them, but I want a good third to half of the bulb sitting above the soil. So here we go. There's the potted up bulb. Now, Amaryllis tend to be plants that like to be a little bit pot bound. So this pot, looking just at the top of it, seems a little too big. It is a pot that tapers down significantly, and I've had good luck with these pots with my other Amaryllis, and I'm just using what I've got at this point, and these are the types of pots that I've got around. I always use a heavy pot, like a clay pot, or if you have a ceramic pot. Plastic pots tend to be an issue simply because the Amaryllis, as it grows, tends to put up a big stalk and tends to be very top heavy. And you want a pot that can stand up to the weight of the top of the plant and not fall over. So you can see that these three I've helped along a little bit by clipping them back. And these are ones that I'll just take out a little later to start the reblooming process, to give them a little extra dormancy time. So here they are all potted up. And one of the reasons that I'm showing you this batch is not because they're anything terribly fancy, but because most of these are rescues. What I've done over the last, say, 4 or 5 years is I have gone into the big box stores when they are having their after Christmas sale, and they will have Amaryllis that didn't sell, sometimes still in the box, ready to be planted. Sometimes they are the ones that have been wax coated and didn't sell. And I've rescued them and potted them up. The wax ones, I just pull the wax coating off, and as long as the basal plate at the bottom looks okay, you can plant them up and they will grow just fine for you. So don't be afraid to bring in some rescues. You'll be rewarded with some beautiful flowers in the future. I also enjoy having Christmas cactus in the house. Now this one did bloom at Christmas time. And what I've found is that if you continue to fertilize them after that first bloom, you can get them to rebloom. And this one is on its second bloom cycle. Now, I did mention that we had a little bit of snow earlier this season, and I do have some footage of that. So let me show you what the garden looked like in the snow. We had one where the snow was really clingy, and it was really, really pretty. Take a look. Last night we had snow, only a couple of inches, but it has covered everything. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and it is all of 20 degrees outside, with a wind chill bringing it down more like 12 or 13, I've been told. The birds are very busy at the bird feeder. We have a bird bath that we have a little heater in that keeps it from freezing, so they really appreciate it, the birds and the squirrels. I just love the way the sun shines off the snow on the branches of the trees. And you can see Tom in the distance trying to shovel out the front of the driveway, where the plow has left a big bridge. The front walkway shade garden looks a little different. Thank you for joining me on this wintry day. As I mentioned, we're going to have more significant snow tomorrow, so I'll get out there and film some of it, and maybe it'll be a lot. That'll be kind of fun. We don't usually get a lot of snow. But anyway, enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time.